Welcome back, my friends, to MES Un Podcast. I am here with Buga, and friend of the pod, Lia Binkin, is back for this episode, standing in for Pablo. He's off doing other things. We should probably, Buga, this is for me and you, we should do a better job of keeping up with where each other are, because I listened to the last pod. I know you guys had no idea where I was last week. I now don't know where Pablo is. I think he's working. I'm not sure. All good things to Pablo, of course. But it's me, Buga, and Lia hanging out today. We're going to be getting into the big 7-0 win against Valladolid. We'll talk the UCL draw. We're going to go match by match, give our predictions. And then if there's time, because you never know where these conversations go, we're going to get into our depth chart. The transfer window is closed. We got who we got. Nobody else going, nobody else coming in. So we're going to see position by position where we line up, who we think the strong spots are, who we maybe need some room for improvement. But we'll see. We'll get into all that and more in today's conversation. Leah, I'm jumping over to you first. How you feeling after yesterday's win?
Honestly, for the first time in a while, I did not have to stress once in a game. And honestly, I forgot the last time that has happened, so I feel great.
Yeah, amen to that. Buga, what about you, sir?
No, like I said at the start, behind the scenes, like, this is the best I've seen Barca play in a while. Of course, Real Valladolid were like god-awful. Like, let's be honest. They played really bad. But the thing is that at the end of the day, 7-0, you just want that sort of good vibes for the rest of the international break. I think it's been a while since Barcelona had that sort of feeling where the camp, everything is united. We are all wanting the players to do more, and we are all just getting behind the project. And I think that's exactly what Barcelona need. Let's just hope the season is very long, so we need to remain consistent, and we need to continue backing the team like we're doing right now, right? I think that's the most important thing, especially for everyone listening, all the community members that we have or whatnot. Just keep it calm, keep it cool. We're doing good things. Enjoy the present moment, because next game might be different. Just enjoy the 7-0.
No. I don't want to keep it calm or keep it cool. We're back, baby. We're back. This is the best Barcelona I've seen in years. It was not just the scoreline, right? Because under Xavi, under the previous couple managers, we've had some 5-goal games, right? But not like this. This was fun to watch the entire time. Yes, we had a couple of lucky goals here and there. Yes, Valladolid were pretty trash, but the joy, the vibes, like you said, Buga, it's all there. And I think another thing that I noted, not just in this game, but in the first few games, the players are talking to each other way more frequently. When we get the little cooling breaks, when we get a substitution here and there, you can see each line, the attackers, the midfielders, the defenders, coming together a lot more, communicating. I think Hansi Flick's really implemented a mentality there of communicating, playing together, having fun. Lamine is dancing with everybody who scores a goal now. I'm loving what I'm seeing from Barcelona. It's very exciting times. So no, I will not calm down, Buga. What were some standout performances though? Because we had 7 goals, right? We had Raphinha with his hat trick, Lewandowski got one, Kounde got one, Dani Olmo, Ferran Torres even getting on the score sheet.
My guy.
Yeah, Leah, I want to keep go with you first. Who stood out to you in this one?
It was Raphinha. I feel like, listen, I always wanted to back up Raphinha because I saw the potential in him, and I feel like the way he was being used, you saw glimpses of it last season. But I feel like overall, when it comes to Raphinha, he may not be the best dribbler, he may not be the best when it comes to 1v1s, but it's the runs he makes and the direct play that that's his style of play, and it just works so well under Hansi Flick.
I'm into it. Buga, Raphinha, left wing. Is he settled in there now? Is that where we're going to see him for the rest of the season?
Yeah, I mean, we don't have no other left winger, but we don't need any other left winger. That's the thing, because Raphinha is absolutely crazy. I think that not only is he, I think, for me, one of the most involved players in the team, because I really like that, how he runs for every ball, everything he does. I think it's absolutely insane. And every ball he touches, at least I know he's going to give it 100%. And I think that's very important to see. And like I was saying, back of the last game, for me, the best game Raphinha had before this one, of course, was that first leg against PSG last campaign in the UCL. And I was saying, these moments, at the end of the day, you need moments like this so that not only Barcelona fans, but the rest of football, Europe can start to appreciate you. And I think that that's going to be happening with Raphinha a little bit more. And I think it's perfect also that he wasn't called up for Brazil in this international break, because he's just becoming a key player, and we cannot afford a player like him to get injured. Like, at the end of the day, he's probably one of our most creative players, if we want to say like that, alongside Lamine Yamal. They're just making a very good front three, I think, this trio.
Yeah, I think we're settled in for that front three. And again, maybe we'll get to some depth chart conversation towards the end. For me, Dani Olmo is stealing my heart. He's absolutely won me over. Like, I admittedly did not watch him much being in Bundesliga. I watch a lot of Premier League. I watch a lot of the Liga. I watch a lot of the Serie A, actually, but I don't get around to Bundesliga much. So I'd see him in Champions League. I did watch him in the Euros, so there was some hype around it, but I was skeptical. I did not know that he was going to come in and ball out like he's been doing. What have you two been feeling in terms of him performing with his expectations? Above, below, like where are you at?
I feel like with Dani Olmo, I knew that he was a good player. I feel like the only issue I feel like a lot of people had doubts about is his injury record. But aside from that, he's a good player. Like, I don't know why people were getting really dramatic in regards to, oh, he's not a player that Barcelona need, when he is a player that suits Hansi Flick's style of play. And if you really think about it, like, him and Raphinha could both play as cams, and they both could play on the left wing, so they could kind of switch in between games. So it kind of works out, it balances.
Yeah, I think that's actually what Lia just said is important. Like, when you actually look at the heat map of the game, because, you know, I'm a little bit nerd like that. I started looking at Raphinha, and Raphinha, like, never really touches the left flank as much as we actually think he does. It's more Alejandro Valde. It's like we actually playing with two tens. It's Dani Olmo, it's Raphinha. Both of them interchange. Both of them know how to play and those positions. And for me, the thing about Dani Olmo is I haven't seen this in a while. He's just such a simple footballer where every ball he touches, he does exactly what the move requires you to do. Like, either pass the ball, drift it wide, dribble past a man. He's just so simple, but also so silky in the way he doesn't do like skill moves for the sake of it, like a Vinicius. He like grabs the ball and actually like use it to his advantage, and he actually does it for the play. And I think that's incredible. And also the progression that he does, is every single pass he does is he's thinking forward. He's actually thinking forward. We never see those. Well, of course, you're going to see those side passes. But what I mean is that every ball he gets, he wants to progress the play forward. Either pass it to a man who's open in behind his mark, or someone out wide. He always does the correct pass. He always chooses the right decision. And for me, that's just so important. And having him as a number 10 for this team is just precisely what we needed. Like, at the end of the day, we have plenty of players that can play there. But for this system, being that sort of shadow striker to Lewandowski and finding those gaps of pace, he's perfect for that. So Dani Olmo, really, I think he will be a tremendous like tool for Barcelona this season if we can keep him fit. Like, that's for me the only thing. If he can have a full season, my goodness, Dani Olmo is gonna take us somewhere else, because he's really playing, like, he's balling out there. He's really his top player.
Yeah, there's something about his decisiveness. Like you said, like, he is thinking one or two steps ahead. And I'll say we now have a few players that are demonstrating what I'll say, like, the difference for me between going from good to great is when you're looking at the attack. A good player can consistently perform and take what the defense gives them, right? But great players force the mistakes. They put the defenders where they want them. And Dani Olmo is one of those players, like a Lamine Yamal, like a Raphinha when he's at his best, maybe a little bit less so, but it's creating opportunities that we weren't seeing under Xavi, that we weren't seeing for the last couple of years, where he's done it twice now. Those little just tucking it in to the side netting there. I'm loving what I'm seeing, and I think it's gonna get interesting when we have a fully fit squad to see what we go with. But another point that you brought up, Buga, that I think is interesting is the fluidity. It's not just Dani Olmo and Raphinha, but really just about anybody besides our center backs and our defensive mid is open to move wherever they want. And I think it's creating exciting football. It's fun to watch Barcelona again.
Yeah, exactly. And we talked about when Flick arrived that we were going to say that I feel actually Flick's teams, the midfield, don't generally have the main spotlight. You know, the main part of the game are not going to come through there. And that actually suiting us at the moment where we don't actually have the most, we don't have the best midfield. We have plenty of injuries in that position. And we take a look at Kouarsi, for instance, a player who just loves those long balls. those through balls, and we are like boosting him as a player. You know, we're making him better, and we're getting the best out of Lamine Yamal, Raphinha, Dani Olmo, these attacking players. Lewandowski just being the poacher that we all know him to be. And it's like, I think perfectly what Flick's system that he incorporated in Bayern Munich is fitting perfectly with his players and the sort of players that we have at this current moment. So we're just getting the best out of what we have right now. And for me, that's precisely what a manager needs to do when it comes to a situation like this. And it's a little bit different that Barcelona has always done. You know, Barcelona always has been sort of like, this is the way we play. You have to come and work like we want you to work. But Flick is being given that sort of freedom. And I think that works in a way because Laporta knows this is his last bullet. Like if he wants to be president next time around, Flick needs to work, and that's precisely what he's doing right now. I really am liking this team. Everything from, have you seen that now when the players arrive to the stadium, they do not wear like street clothes. They have to wear like training kits.
I'm kind of gonna miss Kounde's fashion, to be honest. I'm not gonna lie.
But like for things like that for me are just like, yeah, you're the great manager. You know, just things like that. I love like the cohesion, the sort of team building, things like that. Just simply just putting everything in the same kit, I think works. I really do think it works.
I will say that Xavi, at some times, you did see him try and like use the direct style of play. However, the way Flick has implemented it is that you see players going more centrally, and that just wasn't the case under Xavi. And like in addition to that, like it's just the physicality, intensity, and that's not to say Xavi was bad, because Xavi gave us some great moments as well. He literally won the league back in the 22-23 season, but it's about like the lack of experience there, and I feel like the players just understand the communication better under Flick in a way.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. And I almost think I wonder how much was Xavi trying to micromanage, trying to have every player follow the instructions down to the T, a la Pep Guardiola. And I think Flick has gone more of a philosophy and then said, but go have fun, go express yourselves, be free in the play. Whereas I think the players seem so nervous under Xavi to do it exactly how Xavi told them, that you felt that tenseness. It feels like it's gone now, you know? And that is not to knock Xavi. That is how he played. That's how he managed. So I think, you know, side point, but I think Xavi getting some experience outside of Barcelona will do well for him. But what Hansi Flick has brought, I think, has been pretty special. I missed the last episode, so I did not have to have my grieving moment of Bernal and his injury. ACL tear, surgery. I think he went through the surgery already, right?
No, I think it's scheduled for this week. I heard that's what the journalists are saying.
Fingers crossed that is a successful surgery, but he's looking at 10 to 12 months out. Casa, though, stepping up for this match. What do we think of him?
I like Casado. I feel like for me, like Bernal is more of like a Rodri Busquets kind of combination profile, if that makes sense. And then Casado is definitely more of like a Kimmich profile, and we know that Kimmich is a good player, but sometimes defensively he has his faults. I feel like the difference between Bernal and Casado, the biggest one, is that Casado is definitely more aggressive, whereas Bernal is much more calm. But even like during the Valladolid game, like you saw Casado being very calm as well, like when he was under pressure. So I think it's just a matter of like depending on like what the game is.
Yeah, I think Casado is a player that Flick's gonna mold a lot. Like Lia was saying, like he's very similar to Kimmich in a way. I think he's just gonna be the player that Flick molds into what he actually really wants. I think we're overlooking the fact that I think he's a little bit more of an engine than Bernal, and actually for I think what Flick wants to do, I think it fits a bit better. I would expect actually Casado to continue playing even if we get Frankie de Jong and Gavi back. I think it's going to be Frankie, Gavi plus Casado maybe. I don't know how much of Flick is going to go into Gavi, because Gavi we know also has that sort of engine about him to cover up a lot of space and ground. So I don't know how much he's going to like drill into that, but if he doesn't and he wants Gavi for a little bit more of creativity, then I think Casado will maintain his spot in the starting 11 for a while. I think he's one of those players that Flick initially really liked from the preseason, so I would expect him to become a sort of regular for Barcelona moving forward.
Yeah, I'm tempted to just jump right into the depth chart conversation because I feel like that's where we're going. But
let's just do it. You know what?
Okay, let's do it then. Because anything else from this match that stood out or that we need to discuss?
Yeah, Lewandowski, because if you look last season, I feel like there was definitely a lack of communication, and this season he looks like he's like relived, like I don't even know, like he's like a new player, like with Pedri, with Olmo, with Lamine, with Raphinha. There's just so much communication, and it just works. Like we're seeing a Lewandowski that we wanted to see last season, and if he continues performing this way, I have like no complaints if Barcelona decide to keep him for like an additional year or so.
Oh wow, you're looking that far ahead.
Well, because we have like Paul Victor and Vitor Roque is currently on loan, and they're young, and I like don't really want to rush them because like we don't really have anybody that's like right in between the age gap, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I am very curious to see what happens with Vitor Roque. Like I was pulling for him, I was rooting for him. He just, for me, he never really got his legs. It seemed like he was always a little bit off tilt. Maybe he needed more time, this or that. I'm hoping that he'll get it at Betis, and maybe we'll see what happens for next year. But
didn't you hear he's about to vacunar Real Madrid? He's about to score a hat trick against them in like about 2 hours.
I looked at the clock. I was like, wait, are they playing right now? No, it's not up for a few hours. But yeah, that'd be awesome. I don't know. I haven't looked at the squad. Do you know if is he?
No, I actually don't know. I may have just
start?
beat the most irrelevant stuff ever. But talking about Lewandowski, while I search the lineup for those, I think Lewandowski, like I've always looked at him, and I think he's more than just a footballer. Like I think he comes from. I always said this, like he's like an athlete, and I think like that's a little bit different because you look at him, the way that he prepares his body, the way he takes care of himself, and I feel that helps you to sort of elongate and stretch your career a little bit further. That's a fact given. So for me, Lewandowski, if he can just be that sort of poacher, like I don't want I said it before in different podcasts. I don't want Lewandowski to think he's Harry Kane. He's gonna drop deep. He's not gonna do like a Circe like right now against United. You know, he's not gonna drop in deep between the midfielders. No, you're just a very bulky, good finisher. Go in the box, stay there, and score goals. And that's exactly what he's doing. Yeah. I think that Xavi asked too much of him. And maybe Lewandowski sort of believed he was something else because the first season he was like 3 years younger and he did a lot of those associative work. But like in reality, the best Lewandowski ever, it's him with Hansi Flick. Like that's when he's reached the top. And honestly, he does deserve that Ballon d'Or. I mean, he's that sort of player. So I'm glad that Flick actually is getting the best out of him because that's what we needed. Like at the end of the day, a goal scorer working, firing on all cylinders can be the difference between winning a title or not. Like those 14, 15, 16 goals that he can score, maybe more, it takes a lot into account.
Do we think, so now that we've got 4 matches under our belt, right? Is anybody thinking that Lewandowski might not be Barcelona's top scorer this season?
Honestly, I feel like if Raphinha keeps up his form, he got a hat trick the other day. If he keeps up his form, I feel like Raphinha is more of a creator, but I could see him scoring a lot more goals this season. And I feel like even like Dani Olmo getting 2 goals in the 2 games that he played, like he's definitely up there, honestly.
Buga, any chance Lewandowski's not Barcelona's top scorer?
Nah, I think we're looking a little bit too far. But I do agree with Lia that I think that maybe Raphinha, Dani Olmo certainly. I think Dani Olmo is going to be a proper goal scoring like midfielder. I think that's the sort of player we're going to see from him this season. I think Raphinha as well can have a lot of goals to his name. He's a very balanced player in the sense that he will always have like, you know, the same number of goals as almost the same number of assists. And I think it just works perfectly overall, this balance. But Lewandowski, I think at the end of the day, he's the guy. He's going to be scoring the penalties. It seems like he scored a free kick last season as well, if I'm not wrong. So he's going to be that guy. And at the end of then, those numbers, they just pad you up and he's going to be there with like maybe 5 difference on everybody else.
You're right. I do think it's going to be much more balanced this year. Lewandowski being the number 9, taking the penalties, I think will definitely play into it as well. One of the big things, and then I think this is my last talking point about the match, Barcelona getting in behind the defense now. That's a Hansi Flick thing. Xavi's mentality was very much possession, but Barcelona now, all of a sudden, we've got pace. We can get in behind. We're spreading out the defense. I think that makes me feel like it's going to be more opportunities for Raphinha, for Olmo, Pedri's not going to be anywhere near top goal scorers, but maybe Pedri gets 10 this season. You know, I think it's going to be spreading the wealth a little bit more than what we've seen in the last couple seasons.
Yeah, maybe. But at the end of the day, I just love how we have so much talked about Mbappe, Julian Alvarez, and it's just Lewandowski doing the job at the end of the day, you know? It's like, leave it to the pros.
Yeah.
Did anybody... Go ahead, Leah.
I feel like if you heard like Valladolid, like the manager came out and basically said, oh, we went in like to the Barcelona game the same way that we went into the Real Madrid game. The biggest difference is that Barcelona was able to deal with the low block. And that's the main difference there. So I feel like Barcelona need to get as many points as they possibly can until Real Madrid figure it out with Mbappe. Because once that happens, that's going to be a whole issue in itself.
Yeah.
As positive as they try to be.
Yeah, we can sit here and gloat all we want, but it is inevitable that Mbappe is going to start scoring some goals, that he and Vinny are going to work stuff out. But in the meantime, I will chuckle at the compilations I see of Vinny and Mbappe arguing with each other and not getting along. I'll take that while it lasts, you know?
Yeah, I have here, before we actually move to that depth chart that we've been teasing for like 15 minutes now, I saw this tweet that they compile like different statements from all the managers of the rivals we faced, right? I don't know if you've seen it, but it's Baraja from Valencia. He says, it's difficult to play against Barça on counterattacks. Valverde from Bilbao, we couldn't keep possession due to Barça's pressing. Perez from Rayo, keeping up with their pace is impossible. And Pesolano from Valladolid, Barça excels against deep line defenses. I think like this is what I wanted from Flick, you know, that energy, that work hard mentality, and the work is being done outside the field. It's not just like tactically, he's trying to outrun, you know, teams in the field. No, he actually starts working before the games and starts planning there. He's trying to implement this philosophy, and that's what I think we've been lacking. And I just wanted that, you know, Barcelona to gain those values again, to be a competitive team. Because at the end of the day, like it or not, football has changed so much that right now the teams are physical. Like they're physical. You need to be top notch. You need to be at your best fitness-wise in terms of levels and things like that. So Flick, he's doing a tremendous work. So honestly, I think at least so far, so good.
Yeah, amen to that. Okay, we're done teasing. Let's dive into the depth chart. Transfer window is closed. We got who we got. So let's start from the back. We'll work our way forward. Some of these are going to be pretty straightforward, but I think there's going to be some conversation in a few different positions here. So goalkeeper, I'll kick things off. Ter Stegen, Peña, Astrolaga. Do either of you have any arguments against that one?
Everyone's so against Ter Stegen, but let's be real, Barcelona's financial situation, people want like another goalkeeper. How would Barcelona be able to get the other positions they want on top of another goalkeeper? And aside from that, I will agree that Ter Stegen could definitely be a little bit, you know, inconsistent at times, but he saved us countless of times as well. And he's really good on the ball, and you won't really find goalkeepers like that. So I'm backing him.
Yeah, amen to that. Been at the club for over a decade now?
Yeah, 10
right?
years.
Yeah,
10 years. So, listen, he's a staple back there. He's trusted. Every goalkeeper is going to make mistakes. Even if you brought in a big name talent, you never know when the occasion, the club, the atmosphere gets to them. It could happen to anybody. So I'm with Ter Stegen as well. Jumping over to another pretty easy one, right back, Kounde. Pablo was here saying potentially best right back in the world right now. Tough to argue against. I mean, yes, you have some more attacking wingback type or style players, but for me, Kounde's it, and Hector Fort's not a bad backup. Any arguments there?
I'm interested to
Buga,
see how.
I was going to say, Buga, I see your wheels turning there.
I find it a bit interesting to see how Flick actually, what he does at right back if Kounde gets injured or whatnot. Like, hopefully it doesn't happen. It seems like it not, because Kounde takes good care of himself, but like he wasn't too keen on Fort. At the end of the day, we saw Julian Araujo. We never got João Cancelo. What is he gonna do if someone gets injured there? Like we've heard rumors, Casado has played right back in Barça Athletic before. I'm not too sure if that actually would make him like the Kimmich, the actual Kimmich replacement.
Yeah.
But I'm interested to see what he does there, because I think that if Hector Ferran, I really am into him, but let's see if Flick is right.
Yeah. Okay. Center backs then. For me, somebody else start this one actually.
So we're just doing center backs in general, not who's like a right side and not who's on the left. Just general? Yeah. Okay. So there's so many injuries, but right now all we have is literally Kubarsi and Inigo Martinez, and then Kounde, who could drop into that center back position, but you rather him play as a right back. So I feel like right now, I think Inigo Martinez, his last 2 games, he was pretty solid. Like, I feel like it's his pace that he's a little slow, but he's solid defensively, good aggressiveness, good on the ball. I think he's pretty underrated, if you ask me. And then Kubarsi at 17 years old, it's not normal to see a 17-year-old center back, especially starting for a club like Barcelona. So I think that speaks enough for itself.
With everybody healthy, who's your top 2, Leah? Who you starting?
Araujo, Kubarsi.
Yeah.
I feel like Araujo had one bad season, but he also had so many good moments last season as well. He's passionate about the club, and he puts his body on the line. He makes those forward runs that Hansi Flick will really like, and good aggressiveness, physicality in general.
I'm with you on all of that. Here's my little seed of doubt. I'm wondering how much Hansi Flick is liking the passing ability of Kubarsi, of Inigo, of a Christensen when he's healthy too. And yes to everything about Araujo and his positives. I wonder if his passing ability is going to be up to what Flick wants, and if that will be the priority. It may not be.
I think you could go.
I was going to say, at the end of the day, for games like this, sure, Kubarsi, Inigo, fine, because you have freaking Marcos Leonardo, I think it was his name, running at our center backs. But once you play in the Champions League, those sort of levels, I think that Araujo is up there with Van Dijk as the best one-on-one defenders out there in the world. And generally, the pace, the sort of things, you need to watch out for that. And we know, I just go back to that moment, one-on-one, Inigo Martinez to Victor Osimhen. Victor Osimhen just destroyed Inigo Martinez.
Yeah, I wouldn't be going Inigo. My argument would be, if not Araujo, Christensen. Have the Kubarsi Christensen combo. But Leo, you got thoughts?
I will say Araujo and Christensen, as much as I love them both, are very injury prone. So it doesn't hurt to have some kind of rotations. And I feel like that's the benefit, when everyone's healthy, that Flick will be able to rotate his center backs while having trust in hopefully all of them.
Yeah. And not only that, people forget that in come springtime, ideally, right, you have La Liga, you have Copa del Rey, and you have Champions League all going on. So all of these players will get some playing time. Where do you all stick Eric? Are we looping him in with the center backs? I know he's getting a look at the pivot role right now. I don't know how well that's gonna go long term, but where do you all stick in Eric?
I said back in, I forgot what it was, 2022, I made a video talking about how I think Eric Garcia would fit into that CDM role because he's good on the ball. I just feel like as a defender, sometimes he lacks some of that aggressiveness you need a little bit. And I feel like in that CDM role, he's done a decent job. And it also, I feel like, gives him freedom to move more upward and score goals as well. So I don't know. I feel like we have to test it out against other bigger teams and see if it works. But I feel like for now, it's a solution to Barcelona's defensive midfield situation.
Yeah, I think it's just a stopgap. If I want to recall correctly, at Girona, he played right center back, and maybe sometimes he played right back. I think that the thing with Eric Garcia is that when you have a system that can cover for him, great stuff. And I think that we actually do have that at the moment. Particularly, we also think about the games where Eric Garcia is going to slot in. He's not going to be, we were talking, those big header games. No, he's going to be playing against Real Valladolid. He's going to be playing maybe even against a Sevilla, who knows, determines on the rotation and the teams that we have. So for that, I think it's perfect. And we don't need to look further than that, in my opinion. I think it's okay to have him there because at the end of the day, like Lia says, Araujo is injury prone, Christensen is injury prone, Kounde is literally now a right back, so he's probably never going to come back to center back in a while. And yeah, so my question then would be as well, like you were saying, is it Kubarsi, is it Araujo, maybe Christensen? I feel bad for Christensen because he's actually such a good center back. and fits perfectly in
Somebody's
Barcelona.
gonna lose out. Yeah.
Yeah, someone is gonna lose out, and I think at the end of the day, it's gonna be him.
He's so underrated, though. You know, the good thing about him, though, is that he could also play in that CDM role. So I think either ways he's going to be used. It's just good for him to be able to be, like, rotated because he's had Achilles issues last season, and this season he actually has an injury with the Achilles. So I think it's best to not play him every game or not play him 90 minutes every game because of that.
Yeah.
Okay. Left back, Balde, Gerard Martin. I think there was a little bit of a shout that Gerard Martin might be sneaking his way into that left back spot, but Balde now fully fit, getting his match fitness back. I don't know if there's any questions there. What about you guys?
He has the pace. Yeah, like Balde has the pace. The way he contributes to the attack is very important. I don't think Gerard Martin is bad. I think defensively he's pretty good. I think he just needs time. Like Balde obviously has had more time on the first team, but he doesn't really offer, like Gerard Martin doesn't really offer much to the attack. And I feel like when it comes to that left-hand side, it's really dull when Balde isn't there. Like you said earlier on, with Raphinha dropping in more centrally, Balde takes full control of that left-hand side, and that doesn't happen with Gerard Martin.
Yeah, Gerard Martin is a different profile. That's the thing. It's not a like-for-like replacement. He's a way more defensive-minded left back. He's much taller. He's much bulkier. He's a different sort of player. So for a game like Rayo, for instance, where we need to rotate, sure, he can do a job. But still, I didn't think he had the most incredible game. Like, he didn't blew me out of the water in the game at Vallecas. So I'm not too sure. I think that will be a position where I actually do think Barcelona needs some sort of maybe reinforcement looking forward. But for the time that we've got, I think that if Balde can stay fit, he's the number one player. But I'm a little bit worried because that is one position where right now we don't have a single player that can, be there and play that. Like, I'm just worried. What happens if Balde gets injured for like 4 months and we have to play like Bayern Munich at home? Who goes left back? Like, are we actually going to put Gerard Martin there? Like, I think that's a big call. That's a very, very bold call. And I said to Pablo last spot, maybe you heard, but I was saying like, dude, like, I would have kept Serginho Dest.
I did hear that. It made me so happy.
I will say Hector Ford could play on that left-hand side if you really wanted to. Like, he has learned how to play on the left-hand side, so I wouldn't mind him playing there, but it does seem like Hansi Flick does trust Gerard Martin more. And I'm going to listen to Flick because, like, look at where we are now. Like, whatever he wants, he gets. That's just the way I feel.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Yeah. Flick has won my trust. But yeah, I really enjoyed that shout out for Serginho Dest. Man, it is what it is.
Dude, he's
another long-term injury. But
Dest is a far better left back than he's a right back, and we all agree on that, right?
If Dest could find his way into a left or right wing back position, maybe somewhere where they're playing with 3 center backs and he doesn't have as much defensive responsibility, but he's not playing a full winger position like Xavi tried to experiment with him during some injury-prone times, I think Dest will thrive. And also, he's in the right spot right now, playing at PSV for in the Eredivisie. Like, that's where he should be. I think he'll shine there. But anyway, let your Serginho Dest hate out in the comments. I know you're screaming at your screens right now.
Did you see that? I always get freaking viral because of saying crazy things like that. So I'm gonna get clipped for that. And I had a tweet saying like, "Dude, we should put a cheeky loan bid for like Kessie."
No way. Won't happen. Okay, so that takes care of defense. Give me your starting 3 midfielders, because I think Flick's gonna go with a different, let me say this. Before the season started, everybody was saying he's gonna play a 4-2-3-1. And I think we did see that in the preseason, but now we're back to a 4-3-3, but it's very fluid, very dynamic. So give me your preferred 3 midfielders if everybody's healthy.
This is so hard because, like, I'm trying to think of, like, the double pivot, but honestly, at this point, like, I don't even know. I feel like the way Dani Olmo is playing, he is a midfielder right now. He has to start. Pedri, right now, the way he's playing, he has to start. If Bernal was fit, I mean, he's 17 years old. Regardless, I wouldn't want to see him playing every game because, like, we saw what happened to Pedri. But I would say he'd probably be the starting, like, pivot. Like, I don't know, but then you have like Gavi, and then it gets like really difficult because Gavi you need for his aggressiveness and the intensity, and for me he's the heart and soul of that team, like regardless with like everything.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I know.
For me, it's difficult in the sense that I think Dani Olmo he's like literally made for that position as a number 10. Pedri, he's just insane. I've said it plenty of times. Every ball he touches is incredible. Like this kid can not train for ages and he still be good. Then we have, I think Gavi is the like Lia, the heart and soul of this team. He literally, for a moment, he was the face of Barcelona. I said that. Remember? I said he literally. You think of Barcelona, you think of Gavi. I just wonder for me, I think is where does Frankie de Jong fits in all this? That's for me the question, because there you have an outstanding player that actually does fit Flick's team system or whatnot, but it's like, can you just really go against, Gavi, the sort of hierarchy? I think La Masia in a way does give you a little bit of hierarchy and more importance in a club like this. But for me, it's I just want to see Frankie there. For me, I would put Frankie, Pedri, and Dani Olmo. For me, Frankie de Jong is just. I think he's really good, and he just keeps the play ticking, and he's never gonna be that midfielder, that's gonna surprise everybody. But I think that you just need someone like him at the end of the day, and he will keep the play circulating so much. He's gonna do that ball progression that we know he can do. I think he just fits him very nicely. Yeah, I'm not too sure actually how we're gonna fit them all.
I think he's overhated. I feel like people hate on Frankie because of his wages, not forgetting about the fact that he literally deferred his wages for 2 seasons. That's why his wages are so high. He doesn't need to defer them again. He's already given Barcelona the favor of deferring them once. And aside from that, 22-23 season, Barcelona's best midfielder. 23-24, he started off that season strong. It was him and Gavi, both the best midfielders for Barcelona. And then once they got injured, that opened the door for Kounde to come in and like perform better and gave him more freedom. But like Frankie's not bad. It's just right now, like when everyone's fit, like where would he play? That's just the thing.
That's what I'm curious about. Like, if we had a purely defensive midfielder, just a stopgap, I would say that frees up Frankie. It'll be whoever that defensive midfielder is, Frankie and somebody else. But I just don't know. It's either going to be that when Frankie comes into this team, we're going to see the very best of Frankie, or we're going to see the very worst of Frankie. I really honestly don't know, because I don't know where Hansi Flick's priorities are going to be. Who is he really going to build the formation around, right? And some of it might come down to who our opponent is. Maybe we do see more of a 4-2-3-1 once Frankie's there, because that gives us the possibility for that double pivot. So maybe it's a Frankie, a Gavi, and I don't know. I can't imagine Pedri and Olmo splitting time as the third midfielder. That's the thing. It's hard to imagine Frankie, Gavi, Pedri, Olmo, any one of those four not getting significant playing time.
Yeah, I think though that's a problem that we can leave it, under the bed sheets for a while, because I find it. Don't you find it very strange, like the whole situation around Frankie de Jong and his injury? Like, I don't know what's gonna happen with him. Where he's gonna surgery? He doesn't want surgery. Why is he not coming back? The club wants him to play with his comfort. He says he doesn't, and at the end of the day, he owns his legs for not. But it's like, I don't know. I find it extremely, extremely weird, and I'm sure that maybe there's some sort of like something has to do there, and I think that he's not coming for a while. I still wouldn't.
Yeah.
I feel that Gavi, Frankie will coming back like sort of the same time, so I wouldn't worry that much about it right now.
To be fair, Frankie injured that ankle 3 times one season, and the last time it was during El Clasico. We all saw the photo, I'm pretty sure, of like how his ankle twisted with Valverde, and it was not Valverde's fault. It happens. You both go for the ball. Situations like that happen. It's a sport. Contact happens all the time. But it's like, I would understand if that becomes a chronic injury and it becomes more sensitive there, because I feel like, yes, we talk about ACL injuries and this and that, but when it comes to like your ankle, like that could be swollen for like 2 years. There's people that said their ankle was swollen for 5 years and there was not much that they could do about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see. I do hope it is sooner rather than later that we have the problem of too many healthy midfielders playing well. And we could go with any one of the combinations that sound good. So I'm excited for that. I think if we are playing in the Champions League final tomorrow and everybody's fit, I'm going Frankie, Pedri, Olmo.
Fair.
Yeah, me too.
Okay.
I think we're forgetting like the fact that how old is Gavi? Like 19?
20.
Yeah, he's so
20.
young.
Pedri's
Yeah.
like 21. Like, dude, there's plenty of time and football for you to like I don't like Frank is gonna be retired and you're still gonna have like 8 years more of career. Like,
Yeah.
like
It's crazy.
yeah.
It's crazy because I just realized this is like Pedri's 5th year and he's only 21. And
Yeah.
like now our veteran players are literally still youngsters. So it's like our whole team, I think our average age is somewhere like 23 years old, which is just crazy when you think about it.
Yeah, and in a couple of seasons when Lewandowski moves on, that's going to drop even. He's literally twice as old as some of our players. It's incredible. You know who we didn't even talk about in the midfield? Fermin Lopez.
Oh yeah.
My guy.
He-
My guy.
People have been screaming at us saying, "You're forgetting Fermin. You're forgetting Fermin." Fermin Lopez. Go ahead.
With Fermin, it's because he could also play as a winger as well. So like there's so many places that you could play him. And I feel like because he played so much and he was training nonstop since last summer, being with Barcelona, then being called up for Spain. And even if he didn't play that much in the Euros, you still have those training sessions that take a lot of stress on your body. So I feel like having like the situation Barcelona have right now is nice because you get to rotate him, you don't overwork him, and him coming on as a substitute to provide more energy that Barcelona start to lose like towards the end of a game. I think it's perfect for the team.
I think Fermin Lopez fits very nicely to be that 12th, 13th man on the list like of players because I don't think he's so defensively sound to be, one of the two interiors behind, the line of three. I don't think he's that sort of player. We've seen him play that at the moment because we literally have no bodies. But he for me is what Coutinho was always meant to be. At least he's not as good of a dribbler, but for me, it's like you take a look at Fermin Lopez. He can play, like Lia was saying, that sort of left attacking midfielder role. Then he can play through the middle. He's just for me perfect. And like I say again, he's 21 years of age. He's 20 years old. Like, dude, there's plenty of like. If I'm Fermin Lopez, I wouldn't worry that much. Like, you just won the gold medal with Spain. Like, you're just gonna be coming in matches. You're always gonna be there. You're a squad player. People love you. Like, it's fine, dude. It's fine. Like, he might not be the starter. We were a little bit worried about it. I think that at the end of the day, Dani Olmo does. You can see those 5 years of extra experience in him that does work. That speaks a lot of him. But then Fermin Lopez, like, I have no problem bringing him in. Like, I know he's gonna have plenty of big moments. Last goal, like minutes, goals that he's gonna score in last minutes. He's that sort of guy, and he's so smart with his positioning, everything. Like, he's just such a talented footballer, and he's sort of like passionate without being reckless. And I think that's a very big part of his game. So Fermin Lopez is just incredible. I think he had his work cut out for him in the sense that he's so unique to everything else that we have that he doesn't compete directly with anybody else. He only competes with Dani Olmo in that sense, but he's just so different to everybody else that he's like a wild card, and we can just use him whenever we want.
Yeah. Does Pablo Torre have any role to play in this? I know we just keep bringing midfielders out of the woodwork here.
We just forgot about everybody. Pablo Torre, anytime I've seen him play with Barcelona, he's not had a good game. He's always had a good game. Sorry. I keep saying I like messed up right there. He's always had a good game. Sorry, guys. But I feel like Pablo Torre, like, the thing with him is that I feel like because he doesn't get that many minutes, like, it's the consistency sometimes, I guess, and like the other players have more experience compared to him. But again, like, it's not bad when you need rotations and you have Dani Olmo and Pedri that are also injury prone and you need to put somebody in that place.
Yeah. And again, back to the number of matches we're going to have. I could see Pablo Torre being a starter for Copa del Rey. I do hope Hansi Flick goes back to what Barcelona used to do when we had the depth and had the options of essentially you had a Copa del Rey squad that was, a combination of your role players and a couple of starters that would kind of rotate in and out there. So I think that's where we'll see a Pablo Torre. But also, if we keep scoring goals like this, it creates a tremendous opportunity to do a 60-30. Starters get 60 minutes, guys off the bench get 30 minutes, and you can keep rotating a little bit. That'll keep people happy. That'll keep people fit and rested. I'm hoping we see more of that, but it does rely on us scoring goals. Speaking of scoring goals, get to the attack then. I think based off of our earlier conversation, I think we're all happy with Lamine, Lewandowski, Raphinha as the front three.
Yeah.
No complaints there.
Yeah. Honestly, that all of a sudden, that is world-class front three. Deadly.
Yeah, but we also have to be careful because Lamine is 17 years old. So then, Raphinha could play on the right, and then you could put Fermin on the left, or Dani Olmo on the left. It works. We have some kind of midfield solution to the midfield problem that we currently have.
But he's so good. Like, I know, but it's like, how can you, dude? If I'm Hansi Flick, that really gives me a headache. Like, he is the most creative, most deadly, most I think that he's the best player Barcelona has, and he's 17 years of age.
His composure is unreal. The way who did he assist at the end there, where on the counterattack he just
Raphinha.
He just casually dribbled everybody up the pitch. It didn't even look like he was breaking a sweat. He's just gliding, striding, and oh my goodness, he makes it look too easy.
His balance is so good. Like, his balance, I know I don't want to make these comparisons, but like the way he dribbles does kind of remind me of like Neymar and Messi. Yeah. And it makes sense because he grew up watching them play. So like a lot of the youngsters model their style of play like to those players. But again, this is not a comparison before people come at me. It's just the way he dribbles, it's like similar. I see the similarities there.
Yeah. And 100%. He's come out and said it, and you can see it in his play. You can see it in his celebrations, how much he admires and is modeling Neymar and Messi. Very much so. Where does Ferran Torres fall in for you? He's coming off the bench, but where do you place him? Is he a left wing backup? Is he a number 9 backup? What do you got, Leah?
This is where our friendship can can be born or can be never.
Speak from the heart, Leah. Don't you just ignore him.
I think he's overhated. I'm out here and I'm gonna say it. I feel like Ferran, out of like other options, yes, like he's on the bench. Like, sorry, love him, but like that's just the way things are. The sport is brutal. But like, again, good for rotations. I feel like he has the right mentality. After the game the other day, he literally went home and was training like right after. That's the mentality you want like from your players. And I feel like people forget that last season, before he got injured, I believe it was like in February, he was one of the more consistent attackers that Barcelona had. So I just think it's about getting consistent minutes for him. And the last few games he played, he wasn't bad. It's just he wasn't like out of this world crazy compared to like the other games that he had last season. And then I guess the only really bad game he had was the first game back, but you always expect the rustiness from the players in that first game.
Go ahead, Buga. Let your heart sing.
No, like I think, first of all, thank you, Leah. Like, you're now officially a friend of the pod. No, but the thing is that, dude, Ferran Torres, like I said, I think that the attitude, everything, all those things add up. And at the end of the day, a manager's very much going to appreciate that. If I'm a manager and I see that on my player, I'd want him in my team, you know? He's not the best at anything. Like, he's not the fastest. He's not the best dribbler. He's not the best finisher. He's not the best passer. Like, but he's someone that at the end of the day, I think at the end of the day, you need that sort of player in your team. And he just like, he will feed in a role. He will take command of that position. He's just going to try his best. And that's at the end of the day, what you need. And I think that's good enough for me. Like, he doesn't need to be a starter. He won't be the guy who competes with the very best. We have players like Lamine, someone like that can do that job. But for me, Ferran Torres can be that sort of, again, like I said, that 13th, 40th man in the list, like that just player that comes out. And I think that should be his role. I think you see a lot of very good impact players in football. And I think that is what can Ferran Torres be. Like, I genuinely think Ferran Torres can be a very good sub off the bench. There was a moment last season where he scored 3 goals and then stopped one game and then scored another goal. So almost 5 games consecutively scoring off the bench. That is the sort of Ferran Torres I want to see. Like, I take a look at teams out there. I will always, for me, the best super sub ever in the world was Chicharito at Manchester United. That guy, I see Angel Correa at Atletico Madrid. You know, a player that who's never gonna be your main striker, is never gonna be your guy, but is that sort of player that can score in those last few minutes. And that's why I think Ferran Torres can be for this team. Like, I don't need him to be better than Lewandowski. I don't need him to be better than Raphinha or Lamine Yamal. I just need him to be like can I just want him to fill those boots whenever we need them. And it's not going to be often, but sometimes we will need him, and that's when I want him to appear.
I think it says a lot that a lot of his teammates also really do like him.
Yeah.
And I think that's what you need in the dressing room. Like, if I feel like a lot of Barca fans, I'm sorry, Twitter is so toxic, and they like to hate on everybody, but they don't know what's going on inside that locker room. And if the players, like, if they all like appreciate Ferran, if they all, you know, are happy with Ferran, then I feel like that's the best thing that could happen to that dressing room.
Yeah. I'm with you on that. I do think, for me, Buga, you said he's not like the best at anything, but he's solid with all of those. I think Ferran gets in a bad position when he's asked to be the creator, when he's asked to be the one that is, you know, making those opportunities happen. So I think that he will thrive being Lewandowski's substitute, being that fill in the number 9, and having Lamine, having Raphinha, eventually having Ansu out on that left wing, which That's is true. where I would put him. I know some people are putting Ansu as the second number 9, but I still say Ansu is a left winger.
Ansu left wing, 100%.
Yeah, Ansu left wing. I think we're gonna be happy with where Ansu Fati is by the end of this season. I don't think he's ever going to get back to the hype that he was, which is now he has handed that torch over to Lamine. But I think we will be happy with where Ansu Fati is by the end of this season.
I want a redemption arc for Ansu. And let's remember, 22-23 season, mainly as a substitute, not sharp whatsoever, because, like, you don't get minutes, you're inconsistent, that's just the way it is, but still managed to be the joint second top goal scorer for Barcelona, which goes to show that, like, last season, what Barcelona really needed is, like, Ansu Fati's, like, finishing and, like, the precision he had and the positioning he had. People love to sometimes hate on him and say whatever, but, like, Ansu, like, in terms of goal scoring, like, he can make it happen if you really need it to happen.
Yeah, it's sort of like, the best way I can describe it is like Ansu Fati walked so that Lamine Yamal could run, in the sense that it actually taught us in the way that he was the first out of all the players that came by. You know, like he came before Pedri, he came before Gavi, he came before Fermín López, he came before Lamine Yamal, he came before Cubarsí. He's the sort of mold that we needed to unfortunately sort of mistreat, to learn how to be better as a club and to be a more respectful fan base. And that, for me, Ansu Fati, at the end of the day, he's paying the price. And now it's time for us to give him that time and repay him for what he taught us, in a sense. So that, for me, is hopefully Ansu Fati. I think he's left wing, like Lia said, he's absolutely up there with the best finishers in this team. I think even someone like a Ferran Torres is a very good finisher. The thing is that it's just, where these players need to understand the role. And I think that the role is there to be part of this squad. And if we don't need him, like I said, we don't need them to be the next Neymar, the next Lewandowski. We just need them to be themselves and be good enough. And I think that's what we're gonna see, hopefully.
Yeah, love it. Okay, that's our depth chart.
Can I just mention, super sub Ferran Torres, 10 minutes, goal and assist. It's like, it's insane, dude. Like, just play him as a super sub.
The shark. Shout out to the shark. Love it. Okay, we're running a little bit long, but let's maybe rapid fire through some Champions League matches.
Oh yeah, right.
Because
God.
we'll get to that. We'll do full previews as the matches come up. But we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 matches with this new format. Real quickly, for those of you that have not been keeping up with the news, the new format, we go from 32 to 36 teams. Instead of playing the other 3 teams in your group of 4, now you get 2 opponents from each of the 4 larger pots, 4 home games, 4 away games. With all of that, out of the 36 teams, the top 8 automatically qualify for the round of 16. Numbers 9 through 24 do a playoff knockout round with a home and away, and then those matches plus all the other knockout rounds are home and away, so it becomes what we're used to after that. With this expanded format, we got Monaco away, BSC Young Boys home, Bayern Munich home, help me out with this one. Cervina Zvezda?
Just call it Red
Zvezda.
Star. Red Star Belgrade.
Red Star, yeah. That's who
Red
works.
Star. Red Star it is, baby. Red Star away. Brest from League One at home. Dortmund away. Benfica away. Atalanta at home. So I want to just gut reactions. If we all agree, we'll just move on. If we get a disagreement, maybe we'll say our arguments for why.
I'm just gonna say a hot take quickly. When I looked at the squads, when I looked at the fixture of every single team out there in the UCL, realistically, Barcelona should finish into the top 8. Like, realistically.
Yeah. Everyone's got it hard. I don't like this new format. Like, I feel like before, like, with the group stages, like, you were able to rest players, like, it was better, but now, like, everyone's out for blood, and, like, that's gonna cause more injuries. I just can't. Like, why fix something that wasn't broken to begin with? I will never understand UEFA. Money, yeah.
Money. All about the money. They get an extra round of knockout matches, and they're pitching it as, oh, there's more big clubs, more marquee matchups in this new format. I disagree with that. I think that the group stage matchup,
there's a lot of
I mean, I'm not saying that there's not. There is, but
oh my God, if you look at what PSG got, they literally got, what was it, like Man City, Atletico, what else was it? It was like
Arsenal and
yeah, like, where are you going to rest your players there? Like, I just don't get it.
Atletico.
Yeah, there's the 4 team I keep forgetting which
Bayern.
one it is. Oh yeah, no.
It's insane.
No.
But for me, you know what I really hate about this? Did you hear that it's going to be like each competition is going to have their own week? So there's one week where the UCL is going to play Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. There's another week where Europa League is going to be like Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And there's going to be a week of the Europa Conference League. Like, I don't want to watch Chelsea play Noah. Like, who the hell is Noah, bro? He's just a guy. He's like, he just named Noah. Like, I don't want to play. Sorry, Noah fans, but like, come on. Like,
I have like tears in my eyes. Oh my God.
It's just a club named Noah. Like, what the hell, dude? Give your club a better name.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll get through it. We'll get used to it, I guess. But first match,
Monaco.
Chance for us to make up for the Jean Gaffer that we had. Lost 3-0 to Monaco in the preseason. Lia, are we going to make up for that?
I mean, yeah, I'm a firm believer that, like, what's meant to happen is supposed to happen. Everything happens for a reason. So I have a feeling we were meant to lose to understand how to play better when we play against them away. So hopefully they can win this time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that match was only like 2.5, 3 weeks ago. And what a difference we see with Barcelona. So yeah, I'm going Barcelona win. Buga, what about you?
Yeah, I hope, like, I mean, we need to win. That's the most important thing. I think it actually gives us, I think Monaco is a difficult game. I do agree it will be a difficult game. I think all of our away games are, if you put it on paper, they're very difficult away grounds. So Monaco is at least, I think, the most easier of them all. So hopefully we can get a win. It's the first matchup of the first ever UEFA Champions League thing. So it can be a little bit, complicated like that. Football always does weird things. But I think we should be winning that game, of course.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. Okay. BSC Young Boys at home. This is going to be our first time playing them in a competitive match. We did play them back in 1916 in a friendly.
Young Boys?
They
never grew older.
Yeah. 4-1 win back then. Swiss League champs. We're playing them at home though. Clear win, right?
If they lose after the performance against Valladolid, like if they lose, I'm gonna question everything. Honestly, they need to win these games in order to be like seen as contenders, like for the Champions League final. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah.
Okay. Next up. Bayern Munich at home.
I knew we were going to get Bayern. As soon as they said the computer technology does it, like as many times we faced Bayern recently, like there was no way we were going to get away with not getting Bayern. I mean, it's at home. At least it's at home. And I will say, like, Hansi Flick is our new manager. The company's a new manager. Hansi Flick has brought some of that intensity that Bayern has. So maybe we could try. Like, I don't even care about winning. I just want to see them play well. If they play well, I'll be content.
Let me drop some facts here.
We're gonna smash them.
All-time record, two wins, 1 draw, 10 losses against Bayern That was shocking to me. I thought we would have stacked up a little bit better than that. We've scored 13. We've conceded 33. We have not scored against Bayern Munich since the 8-2. It's been clean sheet shutouts.
I mean, I wouldn't even count that game. Like that game is just like that game was different enough.
But here's the thing. If you've ever heard the saying, if you can't beat them, join them. We did a version of that by grabbing Hansi Flick.
And Lewandowski.
And Lewandowski.
Don't forget about
Exactly.
him.
Yes. So if you can't beat them, steal some of their components and make yourself better, I guess is what we went with. I'm going for a Barcelona win. I'm saying Hansi Flick right now is putting a big red circle on that match. He said, forget El Clasico, forget La Liga. We are winning that match. We are putting the 8-2 mentality behind us. We are shedding that mentality completely. This is a huge match. This is a must win for me if we want to be taken seriously in Europe.
If Barca managed to beat Bayern, I'm taking that as a Champions League win. I'm like, I don't even care what happens. Like, I feel like Barcelona need to get through the mental block that they still have after 8-2. It doesn't matter if we have new players. It doesn't, like, something mentally like crumbles when they go up against Bayern. And if they finally beat them, I feel like it will help like them deal with that mental block.
Mm-hmm.
Are they going to do it, Buga?
I said we're going to smash them.
We're gonna smash them.
We're going to smash them, dude. Dude,
wow.
Eric
I thought I was going to get more pushback.
Eric Dyer is their best center back. Like, I'm not joking. He's better than Upamecano and Kim Min-jae. Like, I'm 100%.
Kubarsi just putting Harry Kane in his
Kompany
pocket.
is their freaking manager. Like, what happened to Bayern?
I forgot about that. He is, isn't he?
Dude, like...
No, Kompany is good, though. Like, his tactics are similar to Pep. And, like, I like that he, like, you saw him last season. I believe it was, again, like, with Burnley, right? Like, correct me if I'm wrong. But, like, you could see that he never, like, changed, like, his style of play even when they were losing. Like, I like the mentality he has. I will give them that.
Okay. So, are we all...
we're gonna
optimistically saying
we're gonna beat Bayern.
Win versus Bayern. Wow. Okay, I thought I was gonna get some heat for that, but we're going for it, baby. All right. Red Star Belgrade away. Serbian team. It's gonna be rowdy in the stadium. I feel like that's
they call it the Maracana of Europe. Like Liverpool. I remember they went there like 2 years ago. They got a win with like an own goal or something like that. Teams have gone there and it's very difficult. I think somewhere in this lineup of fixtures, Flick is gonna need to rotate, and I think actually like that might be the game he rotates and Brest at home. Yeah. So I think that I don't know. I think maybe we draw. Like there's always a draw. Like it's impossible to. I don't think we can win them all. So I'm gonna put a draw on there.
I like how we're saying draw against Red Star, but not draw against Bayern. We're really going for it here.
Yeah, dude. Like,
I think we'll still get the win there, but I wouldn't be shocked if we got a draw. After that, we do have Brest at home. They were third in Ligue 1, as they say, last season. Checked out their roster. Haven't watched them play.
Do you know that they're called... Can I say a fun fact? It's so dumb. I'm such a kid. Like, they're called Brest, and they had a player called Brassier. I'm not joking. I'm not joking. What the hell? Like, who in the name of football thought that was a good idea?
Yeah, it happens, you know. This is Brest's first European competition. So I think they're in for a rude awakening coming into Champions League, particularly under this format. And they're going to have to travel to Barcelona. So I think we smoke them. I'll say the Dortmund match, though, I think we stumble. I think we get a draw.
Oh, really?
Playing away with the yellow wall at Dortmund, that atmosphere is insane. Like, that's like one stadium that I want to visit because of how insane I've heard the atmosphere is. Like, it's going to be difficult. I'm not going to lie.
Late in the group stage, too, when Dortmund might need a win.
Yeah.
What's the last fixture is Atalanta, right?
Yeah, so the last three, we got Dortmund,
Benfica.
Then we're going away to Benfica and then home for Atalanta.
I actually think away at Benfica is the one that Barcelona can stumble. I really have a lot of respect for Benfica, and I think that could be a more difficult game than Dortmund. Dortmund doesn't generally. I mean, they got to the final last season, but it's like normally they take a little bit of a while of time to get into gears and stuff. They got a new manager now. It's Nuri Sahin, who's a manager, very young manager. So they are not doing too well in the Bundesliga at the moment. They've drawn last game 0-0. I
They
will
have an older squad right now.
Yeah, an older. They have like Barcelona in a way, where it's like they have all the young players to one side and like some few older players there. So for me, Benfica is the one that I'm actually more worried about. I think that's a very difficult place to go there. And last time we went there, we got demolished. Like we got eaten up completely.
Yeah.
Darwin Nunez. Yeah, earned his transfer to Liverpool against
literally.
I feel like it's teams like Benfica that you expect teams like Barcelona to do well against. Technically, that's what you expect, but they always never to underestimate them, because give them the time, give them the space, and if you even don't have the right mentality going into that game, you will lose. That's just the way it is.
Yeah. Benfica is going to have a tremendous atmosphere. Their club has European pedigree. You know what I mean? Like they know how to show up. They know how to play in these matches. They've got some veterans that have lifted major trophies. That is not going to be a cakewalk. I got us drawing against Dortmund, drawing against Benfica, but then wrapping things up nicely with a win against Atalanta at home.
We're really bold for that, honestly, because Atalanta were the ones that ruined Leverkusen's undefeated streak. They ended it. For the Europa League final, you can't underestimate that team either. That's why I'm saying for all these games, I just don't see how Hansi Flick could really rest anybody, because they're all tricky, and that's for every team in the Champions League this season.
Yeah, I think that the stakes are way higher. If I am put I only think it's a guarantee. I mean, you cannot guarantee anything, but an almost guarantee win, Young Boys and Brest. That's it, at home. All the other games are hard, difficult games. And that for me, I'm not a super tremendous backer of this new format, but for me, it's going to make things interesting. I don't think it's generally fair, because it's this Swiss format is not fair. Do you know that actually, can I do a little bit of history? Am I allowed?
Please do, Buga.
Do you have time?
Please. Professor Buga with his history lesson.
So the Swiss format came from chess. And in chess, what they did, they do something different that in football you cannot do. And that's why in football it's unfair. Because in chess, after every game you play, you do the draw again. So you see which team you play, but you only play 8 teams. And that is because you need to balance to see which team is better in form, or they change the difficulty, ELO of each team per match day. So I think that's way that's Professor Buga. Time to close it up.
Yeah, with this new format, I feel with the old format, if you draw, it's okay. There's towards the end, it's fine. But I feel with this new format, since it's new, it's a test run. So I don't even know. Barcelona may need to have to win all their games, honestly, because there's only 8 that go directly through, and you just don't want Barcelona to do playoffs, because that's more games that they just don't need right now. You just don't want that right now.
That's huge. Yeah, avoiding that playoff round and adding not just 1 but 2 fixtures into your schedule, because it's going to be a home and away, I think is huge. So we'll see. That was a good rapid fire round. Of course, we'll spend more time going in depth to all these matches as we progress. I mean, they're going all the way through. I think the last one is at the end of January. So they're going to be peppered in throughout the whole first half of the season. So we'll be talking about that. We'll be talking about everything else. Anything to wrap us up for today? Buga, any final thoughts? Lia, any final thoughts?
No, I'm still really happy that Barcelona won. So I'm in a good mood. I'm fine. International break could happen now. I'm okay. Hopefully I don't feel pain during the Champions League, but that's for another time.
Yeah, absolutely. Lia, where can people find you? What are you working on these days?
Yeah, so you guys could find me on my TikTok, which is simply my name, Lia Binkin. I'm on there. And I also now have an Instagram account called the Barca Diary, where I simply repost my TikToks, but I'm going to start being more active on there as well and do other things on there.
Awesome. All right. Well, find her on TikTok, find her on Instagram, and find her back here on the pod sometime soon. We'll love to have you back, Lia. Thank you so much for joining us, and thanks to our listeners. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you give us your comments. You know what we didn't get to? Comment of the week. We got to start doing that. I think we say every week we're going to do comment of the week. Here's what we'll do. Make sure you're following us on Instagram in particular. We'll have Pablo clip out a comment. We'll do a comment of the week on there. Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, YouTube, Spotify, all the places. Pick your favorite. We're everywhere, and we'll be back here again. Wait, we're taking a week off for international break, I believe.
Yep.
Okay, so we'll be back in 2 weeks. So enjoy this longer episode. We'll be back in 2 weeks to talk more Barcelona football and all things Barcelona. We'll see you then, folks. Thanks so much for listening to MES Podcast.
Gracias, chicos. Bye.